Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning.
And I'm Trinity French.
And we are your business coaches at Wired to Change.
With the number 2.
We help you get your business to the level you want it to be so you can enjoy the life of a small business owner.
And Mike, what a life it is.
You have been everywhere today without being able to go anywhere. You can't leave the house, but you can. You put a bid in on a house. You're negotiating another. It didn't slow down much for you, has it?
It's been a really long day. Today feels like 2 days.
And it's only 3:30.
And it's only 3:30, yes. But I will never complain about being busy.
That is correct. So, well, to help you, we brought some energy into the room today.
We did. And we're very, 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 very excited to welcome our special guest, yes. Sarah Madras, a.k.a. Sarah Madness.
Love
Yes.
it. Love it.
And
That's
Sarah... We absolutely love talking with other coaches because we always learn something. Our listeners always learn something. So not only is she a coach, she's a leader development specialist, a licensed therapist. Mm-hmm. So for all of you who have head gunk going on, we've got a lady for you. Business owner, speaker, podcaster, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and winner of the 2018 Women on the Rise Award.
Wow, y'all did your research, man.
Oh, we are on it.
I looked for the police blotter, but I couldn't find any on you, but I'm not done yet. Okay?
Yeah, we were all over the internet.
My social,
looking for,
you need my driver's license number to do that?
I found it, yeah. Jenny gave it up, but I'm not supposed to tell you that. And Sarah is the partner in crime of Jenny Midgley, who we had on last week on their podcast, Girls Who Do Stuff. Which shall be renamed in another week, but I'll let them break that news. So,
yeah. So we're really excited to have you today.
Well, I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Welcome.
When I was introducing Sarah, I want to call you Jenny. When I introduced Sarah and Drago when we got here, I was explaining what Sarah does. Well, you love messing with head junk, and that's her world. Being a mom. Wait, hang on a sec. Here's what prepared you. You're a wife and a mom. I mean, come on, there's enough head junk right there for all the women. Yeah.
And people have been telling me their deepest, darkest secrets for like 15 years now.
Yeah. The book you could write to change the name.
Right? Yes. I'm like, where is my reality show where it's just like a day with a therapist?
Yeah.
Come on.
So I was explaining that she is like a mechanic. All the pieces of the engine are on the floor. Some need to be cleaned up a little bit. Some need to be tightened a little bit more, loosened a little bit more. But it's all there.
And
but
some needs to be just left behind.
Yeah.
Like throw it in the trash and then recycle that mess.
And sometimes people are just totally totaled, and you just have to suck it up and realize that they cannot be fixed.
Right. Well, and I am such a believer that everybody can be fixed if they choose to do so.
Yes.
If I'm working harder than the people that I'm working with, I'm like, oh, that's the biggest red flag.
That is a huge red flag, especially with our coaching clients. And that is why I say sometimes we have to gently coach people out of coaching or out of business because they're just not a good candidate for either being in business for themselves or being in a coaching relationship.
And timing is everything. It might not be the right time for them or what I'll say to them is I'll be like, you're getting something out of this. So even if it's painful and uncomfortable, it's still meeting a need. So a friend of mine who was in a car accident, her back was all messed up. And she could have done all kinds of stuff, but the back pain was allowing her to get out of things. And so she could always be like, oh, well, I can't attend that because, my back is acting up. Or, I have to leave early because my back is acting up. And so the back pain was serving her as a get out of jail free. Yes. Yeah. And so everything people are doing is serving them in some way. Even if the pain is serving them, people are like, well, the pain is actually helping me in some way. And so it's digging through that.
I will not confirm that I've used that before because I do have a bad back, but I'm not going to confirm. That's new. I never thought of doing that.
I get back spasms. And one of the things that I think sets people apart is, so when my back starts hurting, I'm like, Trinity, suck it up. It fucking can't kill you. That's what I tell them. It can't kill you. It's not like something's exploded inside of you. It just really hurts.
Right.
When my knee was hurting the other day, Scott saw me limping around and he's like, what are you doing? I was like, my knee hurts really bad. I was like, but it can't kill me. So I'm just going to keep limping around.
That's why your husband
I'm
used
like,
to
you
call
know
her.
that
Yeah.
there's PT and acupuncture.
Yes.
And like,
She's got 2 houses to sell. She does not have time for
I do
physical
not have
therapy.
time for physical therapy. I have been meaning to go to the chiropractor for, how long have we been in business together? A year, and X
and
months.
change,
oh my gosh. So she needs to hear the Boundaries Boss episode is what you're telling me. Is that what I'm hearing here?
I don't know it would do any good, but that would be, there's a Boundary Boss episode she did that I stumbled on the other night. We'll talk about that too.
It just so happens that if the chiropractor that I wanted to go to lived closer or worked closer, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But she's out in Wake Forest, and I know once I start going, she's going to want to see me multiple times. And I don't want to drive to Wake
You realize
Forest.
that you can throw a rock and hit like 40 chiropractors.
I know.
Mine's right down the road.
I know.
Yeah.
One of my really good friends is right here in Cary up the street that I could give you a referral to if you'd like.
She's in our BNI group, and I
Yeah,
really want
Dr. Steph
to.
with
I really want to
Vitality
take care of
Chiropractor,
her,
yep.
and so.
Yeah.
So you want to take care of her more than you want to take care of you.
Yes,
Just say
she does.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. Because you know what?
And you're good at
My back hurts. It can't kill me. I'm just gonna suck it up and keep going.
It can't kill you immediately, just slowly over time.
Now, so Sarah works with 3 different groups of people, and I love on your website, which is myesteemteam.com.
Yeah, can I say sarahmadras.com? It's way easier, and it'll get them to the same
Yes,
place.
you can do that too. So, successful businesses are built on relationships and mindset. You deal on your website. You deal with businesses, individuals, and couples, and we'll get into the couples thing later. But let's get into business first, right?
Yeah, it's all about integration and wholeness.
Because we do different types of coaching than you do. We do more boots on the ground, P&L, literally run your business. Who comes to you, and what pain point do they have that says, I need help?
So it's usually the owners, the business owners, so the leadership or the leaders of the team, where they're like, hey, my team is making me crazy. Like, I'm tired of having to micromanage everybody or put out fires all day. And so what can you do? And they're going, what can you do for my team? But then, as we know,
it's usually what starts at the top and
It
trickles
does.
its way down.
It does. And so they come in just like when a couple comes in, the couple comes in because they're like, fix my spouse. And they're both pointing, fix him, no, fix her. And it's like, okay.
We know who needs fixing. It's my kind, not your kind. I get it.
I'm so glad that you're awakened enough to admit that.
Learn that early on. Not a problem.
Where were you when my husband and I were going through our premarital counseling? Because we have the strangest, so I don't even know how to describe it, but I've been to so many therapists, and they all have one thing in common. And it's that they eventually try to become my friend more than they are my therapist.
No,
and he watched it, and yes, and it's so bizarre. And he was like, "She's siding with you." I was like, "I know." I was like, "I don't know what it is. It's the woo. It's the freaking woo. It works against me."
No. You tried to give her 3 referrals. That's how you go into meetings with people. So that's why she wanted to be your friend, because you were sending her business.
Well, actually, after the piss poor results of meeting with her,
All right, I was going to say, yeah, that's not a sign of a great therapist.
it was
It's
it was a terrible therapist. She was really nice, but nice does not cut it.
Right.
And along those lines, it drives me nuts. And if you're in this group, I would apologize, but I'm not gonna. The parents that want to be their kids' friends,
Right.
You cannot do that till they're older. But
Right.
when they're 9, you can't say my daughter or son's my best friend. No,
No,
they
they're
don't
not.
know that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so anyway, so back to yours,
Yeah.
but with the couples again, we're getting to couples. We're here for a while, so we'll get into
Well,
that.
and I do like business couples too.
Well,
so
that's
you
why
guys
we-
are
Yeah,
like in a
that's-
partnership
Oh,
here.
Yeah.
And
you're
so-
not here thinking we're going to interview you for to grow your business, do you?
So
You are sharp.
Mike
I
and
was
I are
like-
here for the counseling.
Oh
Right,
yeah,
right.
sure. We're just going to talk about you, but so
Yeah,
So
so-
they come to you because the boss says my team's not performing or they're driving me
Right. Well, they're
nuts.
struggling. So, but they see the struggle as being the team. And so a lack of trust on the team and how that plays out is like the meeting after the meeting that happens, or the water cooler talk, or people not following. They're like, because there's some leaders who just want you to follow a directive.
Yes.
And that leadership style, thank goodness, is going away.
That's old school.
Phasing out. Yes.
I love the phrase, well,
phasing
we've
out.
always done it this way. Just shut up and do it.
Right? And I'm like, oh, it doesn't work anymore. But like any other skill, people don't know the new leaderships. Like they don't know that new style and that new skill set, but they're having to utilize it within their team and in their workforce and even for their own small business, things like that.
The boss that's listening,
Yes.
what does he or she need to hear from you to stop and think for a second and go, oh, crap, I say that?
What are they saying about the team when they come in? What is a phrase that they say?
Yeah.
Is why do I have people working for me when I'm the one that has to do all this? Why do I have to follow up behind them? So stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Or if they don't have a team, the business owners that come to me are the ones who are like, why am I not getting the results I want? I'm spinning my wheels. I'm working so hard. Or I know I should do this. Should is a huge like red flag word for me where I'm like, oh, that's total mindset stuff that we need to work on. And so if they're like, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, but I just can't do it. Well, what's the resistance going on there? Is it a, lack of self-confidence? What are the mindset blocks that are going on playing underneath?
When you and your husband are talking sometimes, does he stop? When you say something, does he stop and go, all right, is that my wife or the therapist talking?
So he used to,
Oh,
but it was before we went together and went to a couples retreat, and then he got the skills. And so now that we're talking the same language,
yeah.
he's like right on board and we get it,
Yeah.
and we just so much easier. But before that, he would be like, stop therapizing me, is what he would say.
Therapizing. I love that.
Yeah,
I'm
and I
totally
would-
stealing that.
Yeah. And I'd be like, I'm not. I'm just being me. Like, I don't. And I had a friend say that. We had a virtual lunch date, and he was just talking to me about his job struggles and his career choices, and he's feeling stuck and stifled. And so I'm just talking with him, and he was like, Sarah, I feel bad. Like, we're here to have lunch and you're giving me a coaching session. And I was like, this is who I am. This is
It's
how I would talk.
ingrained.
Right. I was like,
Yes.
this is how I would talk to
It's
you.
hard to break out of that. I have, for whatever reason, my past relationships, like 90% of them have been sales professionals. And I coach and train sales professionals.
Mm-hmm.
So I always wind up sitting in that seat, and it gets to the point where I'm like, no, like I refuse to have that hat on with my partner. And there has to be boundaries
Right.
there.
So what does your hubby do?
He's in sales.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for the record, she,
Yep. He's in
That's so
sales.
funny.
yeah, she, for the record, she has sold houses to at least 2 of her exes.
Yes.
That's awesome.
She keeps her relationships.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because they were really freaking cool people. Like they were really nice.
Yeah.
They were awesome dudes. They just were not my person.
Right. Yeah.
So I keep in contact with them. We have no hard feelings. We're still friends, and I just roll along, and
Yep.
we still have good communication. So
Yep.
I'm not going to complain about it.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with
And
that.
I hope that they find their person and that they're super happy. And if I could introduce them to the right person, I would.
Yep.
That
Yep.
you would, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
There is nothing
And
wrong
give,
with that.
give both of them a referral. So
Yep.
that's just the way she's wired. So, yeah. For the employees listening, and their boss is the person you're telling us about, what do they do? How do they handle
Oh,
that?
Lord. So when they're dreading going to work every day, and when they said, he told me, or he or she told me to speak up and share an idea, and I shared it, and then they didn't do anything with it, or they shot me down. And so it's really just, I think it's such a bigger question than that. You know what I mean? But I think, one, modifying expectations and finding out how can you assertively communicate what your needs are in a workplace. And I say this with caution because when I first started out, I was like, okay, I want to just help all the people, right? Like I just want to set everybody free from misery. You know what I mean? And when I would go in, the bosses, again, were like, okay, it's the employees that were the problem. Yes, come in, work with my employees. And so I would work with the employees, and then I realized real fast, like, oh, no, I'm setting them up for even worse.
Right.
Because I was giving them the skills, so then they knew. And once you know, you can't unsee it. And so then then they had this whole new awareness, and they're like, oh my God, I see everything that's wrong all the time now. And you can't unsee it. And so they were advocating for themselves and using all their skills and maintaining boundaries and doing all, you know what I mean? But they were doing it in an environment that did not promote that and so I was like, learn that lesson really fast. And so that's when I was like, never again will I do that. If it's not top down, I'm not working with that business owner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not in that organization. And so basically it's, okay, coping skills for the employees and helping them with their own resiliency to be resilient within that environment, while they're also looking for perhaps a better environment that's a better fit for them.
Yeah. It's so, counterintuitive too, because you have two different camps of people. One of the hardest things about being in a management role is that you're there because you have a bit of entrepreneurial spirit. And when you have people that are working in a supportive role, you have two different personality types. You have people that thrive in doing mundane things or doing the same thing over and over. If you put me in that position, I would probably lose my mind.
Right.
And I would absolutely. So one of the things that I had to learn very early on in a management role was that not to have the same expectations of how somebody thought about their career or their career path, and that not everybody wants to be a superstar. Not everybody wants to move up the corporate ladder. Some people are just really happy doing their job and getting their paycheck and doing a great job at what they do.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because we
nothing
need
at
both
all.
camps.
We need both camps.
We need both camps. It's marrying those two camps.
Yeah. And I see that a lot in other business owners and people like myself that they struggle with that they struggle with being very disenfranchised with the people working for them, because they're thinking, why aren't they going out on a limb and really, trying to like shake the world? And it's like, because not everybody is going to be driven like that.
Right. And that's not everybody's personality style. And it means that person is, so I think of it as like the floats in the Macy's Day Parade, where like some people are the big, huge float. You have to have those people holding the tethers, and they are the roots, and they are grounded. So valuing those people, because they are loyal, they are consistent, they thrive in consistency, and so they're going to keep you grounded and rooted the whole time, so you can float away with all these amazing, innovative ideas. Yeah.
That's a really good analogy.
One of your bullet points on your website that you work with people on is along these lines, anatomy of trust.
It's my favorite topic.
You describe it as the art and science of turning employees and customers into raving fans. We get the customer part of it. We've all been kind of schooled in that. We get that. Turning employees into raving fans. And in fairness to a lot of us who were thrust into our first management role way back when, hey, Mike, literally happened. Hey, we're promoting you to this role. And I go from this to all of a sudden managing 90 people.
Well, one, that's just way too many direct reports.
I had 6, but sometimes we don't know. And I've had good bosses, so I kind of thought I was good, and I don't mind, listening to people's stuff. But sometimes we get thrown in. And we talked about this on a couple podcasts earlier.
I was terrible. I've always been put in a position of leadership or a management role, and I was a terrible manager. I was really good at coming up with ideas and making my ideas executable and then actually executing them. But the way in which I got that done was, I am so shocked that my old coworkers are still friends with me, because I was pretty bitchy.
Right. Were you like a steamroller?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was terrible. And I don't know how, I just got it done.
Right, you were like, I'm getting it done. This is the plan. I'm executing. Get in the train with me, or I am plowing you over.
Yeah,
I'm leaving at 4.
Yes.
But you can tell the good cop get bad cop relations.
But it took a lot of work to...
It's a whole new skill set.
And I think that one of the things that is hard when you're in that role is that a lot of times your employees are afraid to tell you that, because they, like you said, you're like, give me feedback. Like, I would always ask for feedback from my direct reports, and they would never give it. They would never criticize me.
Right.
And I was like, you guys are just doing yourself a disservice.
Right. Well, so Patrick Lencioni and his 5
Oh
dysfunctions
my gosh,
of a
I
team.
knew we were going to be BFFs. pulling out my favorite book.
It's nerd
Yeah.
time.
Oh,
Have
yeah.
at it.
I'm like,
nerding
so
out.
you know the triangle
Yes, I do.
and the base.
Oh my God, yes.
So the base
I
is,
just got goosebumps.
yay! I love it. Is the absence of
Yeah,
trust.
roll your eyes at us.
I just may as well leave.
Yeah.
I'm
Right?
like,
Yeah,
come
yeah.
on, get on
Yeah.
the train or we're
Yes.
gonna plow you over.
I'm jumping on. I'm jumping on. So no worries there. So
That's what I tell my husband. I'm like, get on board or the train is leaving. I'm going to
train
go
is
around
leaving.
you. I'm going to go through you. I said, over you. I was like, it's going.
Yep.
But yeah, that's one of the cues that oh my gosh, there is not a foundation of trust with this team. If they're not willing, like if they're avoiding any kind of conversation that they view as conflict, which would be feedback.
Yep.
And that's how you know, okay, well, the foundation of trust isn't there. And then above that, if they are avoiding conflict, then they're not willing to engage in the ideas because they're like, hey, I'm not even on board with this idea. So I'm not motivated to really like give it my all. And then there's no accountability. If a mistake does happen, that's like the next level because they're like, I wasn't on board with it anyways. If something happened, it was her idea to
Just see
begin
this,
with.
yeah.
Exactly. And so then there's the inattention to the results is the top one. And then, of course, the results are going to suck because there's no buy-in.
Yep.
There's no loyalty. There's no motivation for high performance. So, but it all starts with the foundation of trust.
and two things on that. One is normally we manage how we've been managed. So if your boss is an a-hole, you think, well, that's the way everybody does it. I got to be an a-hole too.
Right.
Second of all, now that I know what I know, which is another podcast we'll do one day, is every boss they should shock the crap out of them, take a 10% pay cut if they say, hey, my door's always open, come on in. No, asshole, you go into their office and you sit down and you ask them how they're doing.
Right.
Develop it that way.
Yes, you have to lead.
Well, and also what I learned is you've got to manage up and down. Mm-hmm. You have to manage your people. I got to manage my boss because he's managing me, he or she. Mm-hmm. But I hate it. Hey, come on, my office is all, nobody's walking in your office, dude.
Right.
They're not gonna.
Well, you have to set the precedent of I'm walking into your office. I want to connect with you. And that's the thing is that people misperceive trust as this like, okay, well, either I give it or, you earn it, or trust is I don't lie, cheat, or steal. That's not what trust is. And people, if you haven't learned this, then that's all you're basing everything on. And so they're not going to go in and initiate that conversation because they see that hierarchy. Mm-hmm. And so then there's this power, perceived. It's not. Daring leadership doesn't have that. Daring leadership is coming from a place of we're not armored. We're not coming in with titles. We're not coming in with hierarchy. We're saying, hey, we are in this together. And that's what I say to my team. I'm like, I'm very, very aware that we are in this together. And if I don't pull my weight, then you can't feed your family. Just like if you don't pull your weight, I'm having trouble feeding my family. Like we are interconnected. And so I think that that's the difference between leadership is you have to, whatever you want to see from your people, you have to be willing to do first.
The best bosses I've ever had were ones that had my best interest. They wanted to see me succeed. But a funny story on if you learn if a boss is all in. Back in the day when I was working at the Cartoon Network, we were on the 29 car in NASCAR. Oh, yeah. Did
like,
PR
we're going to need
for
to
that.
talk about that.
I did PR for that. And we were always running towards the back of the pack with Jeff Green, Robert Presley, Lake Speed, wonderful guys. Just we didn't have the equipment the big teams did. So we were in Daytona Beach, Volusia Mall, the Friday night before the Pepsi 400 on Saturday night.
Big deal.
And the mall was closed, and we must have had 500 people there because the parents were bringing their kids. We had Tom and Jerry were on the car. We had the costume characters. Travis was one of them, by the way, my oldest son. And so we're finishing up. Everything's done, and there's 4 of us. And we're grabbing stuff. My wife picks up a couple of boxes. Travis picked up one. And the boss, who shall remain nameless, said, hey, can you grab that for me? He goes, nah, man, it's not part of my job.
Stop.
That was 1998, 1997. And this is 2020, and I still remember that.
Yeah.
And every time I see him pop up on my freaking LinkedIn, I'm like,
because that was a break of trust. Right
Huge.
there within that moment, that was a break
no,
of
dude,
trust.
you mop the floor, you clean the toilet, I'll follow you.
Yep.
Don't tell me to go
exactly.
in there and clean the toilets.
And the part of trust that broke was integrity.
Yep.
But people don't know, like, oh, I can talk about an actual component of trust that's being broken so that I can clearly communicate that with my team and clearly lead from that place. And so how amazing would it have been if you guys had those tools back then to be like, oh, well, that was just a break in trust of integrity because you chose what was easy over what was right.
He chose, I'm in charge.
Right.
That's what he chose.
Hierarchy, the
hey,
power.
No, dude.
Yes.
I'm like, no,
yes.
you're not. You ain't any better than I am. Pick up the damn
exactly.
box.
And that everything that, like the core of who I am and what I am about, every way that I behave is that right there. Is that we are all equal. We are all equally worthy simply because we exist. We're not like, I have to do tricks and flips in order to earn somebody's freaking respect or like, you know what I mean? Or be valuable as a human being. Like you're valuable as a human being. And so if you lead from that place, it's a game changer.
And one of the best lines we had from Jenny last week, we're talking about brand. And she said, your personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And guess what? He's not in the room and you just heard what I said.
Exactly.
Oh, that's 23 years and it still pisses me off.
Yep.
Oh, so how do you get a boss to see the light?
How do I get the boss to see the light?
What finally when they,
because their life is easier. So
no kidding.
Right. So I just had a call with a leader of a team and he's got 25 on his team and he was telling me what was going on. And I said, how would your life be different? How would your life be impacted if this wasn't happening? And he was like, well, instead of working 80 hours a week, I'd be working 60 hours a week. Instead of having to do things over and over again and putting out all these fires all the time, I would be able to do the innovation that I came in here with. He's like, I came in here 2 years ago with all these innovative ideas, and I haven't been able to implement any of them because I've been putting out fires with all the issues that are going on with the team. And he's like, I'd finally be able to do the innovation that I've always wanted to do. And so it's really just asking that question. How would your life be different if you weren't dealing with all of this right now?
No, and we have that conversation with delegation. Well, so if you had 3 extra hours a week, because you're supposed to delegate this stuff, what would that? Could you take a nap? Could you play with the kids? Could you go make more money?
Yes.
And going back to the management thing, it took me a while as a manager to figure out, going back to Trinity's point, what's everybody's currency? And that currency is, I just want to get paid every day. I don't want a phone call at 6:30. I leave it here, but I'm going to work my ass off for you.
Exactly.
And others are money. Others are pat on the back. Some I just want the check.
Yeah.
I'm working.
Well, and it's totally the language of appreciation at work. And that's a quick little assessment that you can do when they come through the door to interview them. And then it's one of the things that I do with the organizations I work with. That's part of the assessment that I'm doing for the pre-work that I do. And I'm like, oh, well, look, 90% of the people in your organization, their language of appreciation at work is quality time. How much quality time are you spending going in there and asking them, hey, how's your weekend? How did it go at your mom's surgery? Hey, da-da-da-da-da. I was like, yeah, you're doing these other things of like giving them gold stars. They don't care about the gold star.
Care one bit.
I was like, know what their language, but people, again, it's you don't know what you don't know.
And sometimes you want to stop that boss. So if your boss gave you a gold star every week and no raise and no more of this and no more of that, would you like that?
Right.
The answer is no.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
4-year-olds want a gold star because it's a big deal, you know?
Well,
40-year-olds don't want a gold star.
Like I know each language for each person on my team, and I have to lead based on who I'm talking to in that moment. Like I have to alter my presentation, the language that I'm using. And I know employee A, she loves gifts and she loves owls. And so if I get her an owl gift, like a tchotchke, like over the moon, if I were to give a gift to, employee Z, they're like, I don't want
care.
a tchotchke.
Yeah.
Like,
Thanks.
give me my cash so that I can go take my family on a vacation. You know what I mean? So,
Well, and it's knowing what their work-love language is.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yep.
Is that the assessment you do?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My God.
I always like to title the episode with a line. I think that's it. What is your work love? Do you know what your work love language is?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because then we miss all these moments. They're called bid for connections. And so we're constantly bidding with people for connections. But if we're not speaking the same language, we're missing, 80, I think it's like 75 or 80% of bids every day. And that happens in the workplace too. It's not just in our intimate relationships at home. So
Probably understands my days in high school when I talked to these girls really wanting to ask them out and they didn't grasp if that was an ask out. It's like, was I that bad?
Right. Well, it happened, like I always tell this story of my husband and I in the car. We're like in the car cruising. We have to drive 45 minutes to get to his mom's house. So I'm just like zen, like I'm chilling. It's my time to just sit there and be. Well, he's singing and I'm like, he's singing to the radio. And then he looks over at me and he's like got these like starry eyes, like those puppy eyes. Like, did you see? And I'm like, what? And he's like, I was just singing that love song to you. Didn't you notice? And I was like, no. I noticed that tree and I noticed that sign. But if he wouldn't have said anything, that would have been a misconnection because he was bidding for that connection. And I was all like, look at the pretty trees and the clouds.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Right. And he's all like professing his love through this ballad, singing his heart out.
And you two been married how long?
11 years.
And that's young, but he's still singing to you, and you still don't care. That's what I heard.
So we would have to go bid for connection, and I'd be like, oh, what was the song? I was like, tell me the lyrics again. I was like, because then I could turn towards him and accept that bid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that Trinity and I know, and I've heard this before, and my son's going through this, and a couple other people I know, their companies are wanting these video meetings every day, which they never had when they were in the office.
Right.
So they're starting to get fatiguing, I get
Yes.
that. So somebody we know, their boss is doing this, and their boss's boss comes on, hey, we need to work hard and get our numbers up, and every single day while they're stuck at home during a pandemic, bad.
Yes.
Tune out city. Actually, that'll start day 3, but we're on week 9 now.
Right.
And you need to spotlight and say, hey, Sarah, by the way, saw your numbers last week, folks, Sarah. Or talk about if you would say, hey, having trouble getting into dental offices.
Right. We'll talk about the why, not talking about the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I do this with my team as well, is, who are we serving and why are we doing it? So for my group practice that I have, I would say to them, listen, we are in the middle of a mental health crisis right now. Like with everything that's going on with the pandemic and the isolation and people without jobs and kids are home all the time. Like this is like the perfect storm of mental health stuff going on. And so I'll be like, listen, it's not a matter of us, like, yes, it's great when you meet your numbers. That's extremely helpful. But that's not what the motivator is. The motivator is we're coming from a place of service, of there are people out there who need to be served. And so how can we serve them? What can we do to reach them? What can we do to make sure that they know, hey, we'll do Zoom sessions early in the morning before work starts for you, or we'll do it at night when the kids are in bed. Like, what do we need to do on our end so that we're coming from a place that we can still serve you?
What do you need?
Right.
People start with that.
Yeah.
And then if you say nothing, that's on you. Mm-hmm. And then if I ask you the same thing the second day and the third day and the fifth day, and you keep going nothing.
Well, sometimes people don't know what they need.
And
true.
And so it's like, hey, what I'm seeing
the initial answer is never the real answer.
Totally.
No, it is not.
So if you don't ask 3 or 4 additional follow-up questions, you're never going to get to the root of what's truly wrong.
Yeah.
And you're just going to be spinning and spinning and spinning.
Yeah.
Do you know where I learned that? Moms, strongest people on the planet, without a doubt. Wives, speaking of love language, the word fine. Because Becky will do this, and I've heard other women say this, and I always pointed out, I'm fine. Because you can say it like 4 different ways,
Right.
and none of them are good.
Right.
None of them are good. That's why the first answer is not always the real answer.
Right.
I'm fine. I'm
well,
fine.
it's the reflex.
How did I do? Because I clean up the kitchen. That's my role and all this, which I'm happy doing. And she doesn't say it anymore because she appreciates it. But early on, she goes, it looks fine.
Right.
And I'm like, we got to stop this. Either it sucks or it's good.
Right.
Not fine.
Right. Yep. Well, and I'll even say to people, I'm like, are you asking me because you want the real answer, or are you just asking me to be polite? Like,
right.
I'd say 70-30 polite.
Right.
Because they can't handle the truth. Because you're right, they don't really want it.
Right. And so that's why I ask, and they'll be like, oh, yeah. Or they'll keep on trucking, and that's how you know.
Yeah. Well, this has been super fun.
Yes.
Thank you.
My cheeks are hurting from smiling and laughing so much. So that's when you know it's been a good episode.
Right up your alley. Oh, yeah.
And we got to dork out a little bit, so
Yes.
that's always a huge plus.
So go to Sarah Madras, SarahMadras.com.
Yes, sir.
and you will give them all kinds of tips to get to thinking about things. And if they're smart, they'll call you and hire you and solve all their problems.
And they can sign up for a free call from the website right there. So
fabulous.
Or
Very
even
nice.
text. I mean,
And speaking of free calls, we are still offering our 30-minute free consults.
Nice.
So you could have a call with Sarah and then a call with us, and all your problems would be solved.
Oh, in an hour.
In
Yeah.
an hour.
Like-
Yeah, because we're that good.
an hour can change your life when you're putting both together, the systems and the mindset.
And here's the other thing we've learned is if you are coachable, some people think they are and they're not, but the ones that really are coachable and really want to solve the problem, a total joy to work with.
Yeah, and it's a lightning speed for them too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've seen that. And
Yeah,
now
I've
you
experienced
know.
it myself.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, does it take you 4 minutes? Kind of like a first date. Or within 4 minutes, do you know if they really, really want to be helped? Does it take you that long?
Oh, it takes me longer because I believe that everybody can be helped.
I didn't ask that.
And so, like, I dig way deep,
Yeah, okay.
and then
You want to
within
hope.
30, I do. I hold on to hope a lot.
Yeah.
Which is
So
good.
within 30 minutes, I
Okay.
know.
But for first dates, it took you, what is it, 38 seconds was the national average I heard for women that could know, yeah, there won't be a second date.
I broke that average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some where you're like, oh, within the first 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if they're late.
Well, because my husband and I met on online dating back in the day when it was like,
Real online dating.
you
yeah.
don't tell anybody that's like, we made up a
Right.
whole fake story about how we met because it was such a faux pas that we met online.
Oh, wow.
So now we like come out of the closet with our real story.
Yes.
But yeah, there was some things where I was like, that person straight up lied. Like when you meet in person.
Oh,
you're
when
like-
you realize, like, why does this person have 0 pictures of anything except
Yeah.
for their face, and they show up and they have the ass the size of a Christmas tree, and you're like, what the heck? Like, where'd that come from?
Tell her what your pictures you used to put up.
Oh, so
Yeah,
we
but-
talked about this. So I would always put up my worst photos.
That's smart.
Very
And
Yes.
so then I knew if they can accept me at my worst, they get me at my best. And then
Yeah.
I would show up to the date and they would be like, wow, you are so much like more attractive in person. And like, it was just,
You're like, it's strategic. My
it is
friend.
very strategic. I was very, very,
You're like, I will weed you
I am
out.
like, I am going to because, you know, I had done the whole put my cutest pictures up there, and it's like fake advertising because
Right.
I don't look like that all the time.
Right.
But most people, when they meet somebody online, I'm sure they go, you don't look like your picture. But in this case, it was good.
It was better.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was better. Yeah.
Anyway, Sarah, we thank you very much for the help on all this. Good
Thank you
luck
for
with
having me.
sarahmadras.com, Brave Builders Coaching,
Yes.
millions of names. And we'll see you next time on our Wired to Change podcast.